What's going on, party people? I'm back at your boy Duncan. Today I have a tier list for you. This one is hot off the presses, okay? We are ranking the absolute and ultimate universes. We're ranking the books in both of these universes, all of them, okay? And I thought about how to rank these, and it was a little tough for me. It really is, because they're not all on the same issues. Some came out later than others, and some are still phenomenal even in their early stages, whereas other ones, they're left to be desired. You know, you're not sure what you're getting here yet. You know, you can't confirm it's really bad, but you definitely aren't sure it's good either. So I decided we would just make it a holistic ranking, and if there is anything I want to talk about, like let's bring up Green Lantern, right? In the original Green Lantern issue, Green Lantern is in like 3 panels, right? So I think off of rip, it's not going to be anywhere near absolutely ultimate, right? We hardly even saw the hero of the book. But that doesn't mean this book is bad, right? It just means it's got to have more time before the jury's out still, right? People are still deciding. There's not enough content they've given us for us to make a decision ourselves. But that's just one example, okay? Overall, though, this list is going to try and be a list of like the actual line itself, right? All the books that have come out so far. I try to stay on top of them. I'm maybe like 1 issue back on some of them, maybe none on most of them. So without further ado, let's do this. Let's tier list the ultimate and absolute universes, people. Let's get into it. I need to know, though, before I get into it, y'all got to get into it too, okay? This isn't a one-way street, it's a 2-way street. If I'm making it, I want to hear your guys' list too. So comment your list down below. Give me the AU tier, A tier, B tier, mid tier, and then not even out yet tier, okay? Let's just start with what I think is the best book out of all of these books so far. It's going to shock you, and I'm not actually even joking when I say that, because I know a lot of you guys are just instantly thinking I'm thinking of Ultimate Spider-Man as the best book out of all these books on the list. But that is actually not what I would put as the best book out of all these books on the list. I think this is the best comic book I've ever read up to this point, right? Because I don't want to say it's better than like the all-time greats when it's only 2 issues in. I'm not trying to say that. But that first issue was something I've never felt before. It is literally so freaking good. It actually uses the comic medium for what it is. It's not just another version of a book with pages on it. There's more you can do with it than just that. The artwork in this book is otherworldly. The backstory and how it's uncovering itself is unfreaking believable. This book is so freaking good. Dennis Camp is literally a god when it comes to making these titles. He's on another one of these titles, the Ultimates, and that one you're not going to be shocked with where I placed that one as well. But this book, while we're talking about it, we got to really just get into it. Martian Manhunter, I've never been interested in the character really. Giving it a chance because it's the absolute universe line. I want to try them all out. And it is by far and away the best book out of every single book here. I'm a Spider-Man YouTube channel. Y'all know how biased I am. And yet, Martian Manhunter is still number 1. I don't think you guys understand how good it is if you haven't picked it up yourself. You probably think I'm underselling it when I say the colors and the artwork mean so much to the story. I truly can't oversell it. That's how important it is to the story. It's just so freaking good. Strongly suggest everybody reads it. The story arc following this police officer who gets into an accident and now the Martian lives in his head and he's like seeing all these colors. He can't really figure out what it is or what they're supposed to be. As it's uncovering and you're finding out alongside with him, I just find it so fucking amazing. This is easily, in my opinion, the best book out of all these books, and I think it's the best comic book on the market right now. I actually don't even think there's another comic even in the conversation with it. The next book I would put on this list is Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, I can't say enough great things about Ultimate Spider-Man in my opinion. I truly can't say enough great things about this book. First off, it really helps just like a reader who can't stand the current Spider-Man book and what's going on in 616. This is really exactly what you're looking for, man. It feels like although Spider-Man is an adult when he first gets his powers, his love life with Mary Jane just feels so real and consistent with how it was in 616 before they destroyed Mary Jane's character, right? Mary Jane, the breadwinner. Mary Jane, understanding. Mary Jane, communicative. Mary Jane is everything. And that's what Mary Jane is in the 6160 version of Ultimate Spider-Man. She's everything. She's so fucking peak. The story itself is amazing. You're following Peter Parker. He goes from Spider-Man, or he becomes Spider-Man at this late stage of his life, 31 years old. He's got an entire family at this point. And he learns that he actually was supposed to be Spider-Man. So now he has to really embark on all this responsibility. He felt like he wasn't even He didn't even know he had. He felt like he always had it in him, but he didn't know it was supposed to be for him. Now this has come to him. He finally has to rise up to the challenge. And you're just getting this amazing, phenomenal story of a man who's falling into the pitfalls of becoming a superhero this stage in their life, but they really do mean the best, and they're trying to do the best for society. Like, he's trying to do everything he can to help people, but without trying to be, like, going over the edge. He's trying to be a superhero the way he thinks he should be a superhero, even still with all the danger present. And I love it, man. Harry, his number one partner, is, like, ready to kill all the people who stand up against him as adversaries. Peter's not the same. Peter wants to save people. He's a hero. And I think that's a phenomenal way to exemplify this character. He's just always trying to do the right thing the way he knows it's supposed to be done. He's not trying to be like anybody else. He's trying to be himself. Even if it doesn't work, that's what he's trying to do. He's now gotten his entire family put in danger. His best friend throughout all of this, not his best friend, but the guy who became his very good friend and now is dead, Harry Osborn, died throughout all of this as well. Like, this guy went from just being a regular news reporter into becoming Spider-Man, and in his entire life being turned upside down in a matter of months. I fucking love this story. It feels so authentic. Can't say enough good things about Ultimate Spider-Man in my opinion. The next one on this list, for me personally, Absolute Superman. I'm not gonna lie, Absolute Superman is fire. Absolute Superman is so fire. I'm not trying to gas it because, you know, I know a lot of people aren't big Superman fans, and I'm not the greatest Superman fan myself either. But I think if anybody picks up this book and actually reads into it, and they would love it. They would love it. It's a great story. It talks about the classism that existed among Superman's race that led to all of their downfall. Like, the ruling class there not wanting to believe the people who are on the ground, even though they're just as smart and intelligent, but because they're not deemed as smart and intelligent, they're just useless thoughts, even though they have the truth. Like, that feels so on the nose with something happening in our society today. It's like a perfect allegory. And then you see Superman on Earth, and it's a similar allegory, not a similar allegory, but it's again an allegory on how things are today. Like, you see how there's an overruling, oppressive regime all the way extending out into Brazil at this point, and you see that they've taken over across the world, and they're just like mining for resources, abusing people, and like forcing them to be slaves essentially for them. And Superman is like trying to help them all out. Like, he's trying to like help these people who can't like help themselves because they're in such a poor position to be in. It's unbelievable. I love how it actually tells a story based on realistic events, right? And you're trying to put Superman in this stuff without being so on the nose with it, right? I think it's a great story that means more than what's on the page, and that's what means a lot to me. I think that means a lot. This next one I probably have exactly tied with Superman. I have them both in the exact same spot. I'll probably put it here because I maybe have a slight edge over Superman. It's probably the last one I put in the top tier also. It's the Ultimates. This is similar actually to Superman in the same vein that it feels like a lot of it is a story that's critiquing current age society, right? It's a story that's very contemporary, and it maybe also isn't contemporary but still matters at the same time. I say contemporary meaning like what's happening in current events, but a lot of the stuff that's happening in both these books happen in current events and have happened throughout history repeatedly because that's what history does. It repeats itself. So, although it's a contemporary issue what these books are tackling, it's also tackling issues throughout historical events because overruling regimes trying to rule over the world or large parts of the world and force people to be their slaves and work for them, and they operate in the shadows, is something that very much has existed for years, for decades, for centuries, for millennia. Yeah, for thousands of years it's existed. So I really like that both of these books manage to tackle, or at least try to tackle, things of that nature. On top of that, what I really like about the Ultimates, though, is it shows off so many different characters. I think a little bit of the drawback is you don't get to see enough of the characters, but as time goes on, I think it'll be fleshed out more. You know, we haven't seen much Thor. We got like one issue for Thor and Sif, and although it was beautiful and it was written like a poetry, this guy Dennis Camp is the man. He's the best writer here. But, I mean, he's the best writer out of all these books. He's got 2 books in the absolute ultimate tier list. I mean, like in the absolute ultimate tier. That's crazy. But yeah, seeing all these different characters and how they act, like seeing Hawkeye's backstory was awesome. This Hawkeye freaking rocks. Again, seeing Thor's backstory was freaking awesome. Going to She-Hulk's island and understanding what her people's plight came from. This is awesome. And all of this almost feels, again, like real allegories to real notions and stuff that society happens today, right? That's probably my favorite part about both these books. I've already said that, and I can't understate it. I I truly can't. I think a book really needs to mean more than what it's showing on the page at the end of the day. No one really wants, I shouldn't say no one, but if you're going to just put like a story together with just like Spider-Man and he's just beating the brakes off of people, it's cool, but like I want it to mean something. I want it to have value. I want to take something away from the story, and it's nice that honestly all 4 of these books do that. I think 2 of these do this more on a topical aspect of daily life and government and governing. But I think these 2 books also still tackle these notions, right? Absolute Martian Manhunter tackles this view of society of like this straight cop who like thinks he knows right from wrong, and he has this clear as view day on what's happening. And then the Martian gets into his brain, and he now knows he was so ignorant to so much. Ultimate Spider-Man is the story of somebody who's trying to take care of their family throughout all of the pressures of society that are weighing on them, and all the pressures inside of themselves, knowing what they have to be and they need to be for this world. I think all of these are a great story that you can take away stuff from. But that doesn't mean the rest of these books aren't phenomenal too, okay? Because the next book I'm going to put up there is an otherworldly story. It's going to be Absolute Wonder Woman. I love Absolute Wonder Woman. I think it's really cool that Absolute Wonder Woman and Absolute Superman and the next one I'm going to talk about are all just like so good. They're not like sold to you as the big 3. They really earn their spot as the big 3 outside of Martian Manhunter, because he's the big one. If they're the big 3, like the anime big 3, Martian Manhunter's like Dragon Ball at this point, because this shit is so fucking good. But either way, Wonder Woman. It's a great story. It jumps straight into the action. It's a very fast-paced book, but what it also does that I enjoy and appreciate is that it goes back as well. This way, you're not really just jumping into things clueless, and you're also not just looking at the backstory, just waiting for something to finally happen. It's a mixture of both. It's not a linear form of storytelling, and I appreciate that, personally at least. I love that Wonder Woman is like seen as like this superstar, right? Originally, the people were worried about her, and they're worried they couldn't save her, and not save her. They're worried that she could be part of the danger. Then she stops the initial threat. She meets up with the leaders of society, the generals and whatnot. She starts telling them what to do and what it's all about, and then she goes out there, devises this brilliant plan within story. It's not like it's like a made up like for the plot, right? It's like, oh wow, actually when you think about it, they've already presented these facts to us in the story, and her plan beats these facts within the story in a way that makes sense all herself, right? And I think it's cool when it's not just some contrived plot. I really appreciate that, where it's like sometimes you'll read like a Batman comic, right? And Batman just like creates the invention that wins the day. Or Fantastic Four. Reed Richards will do that a lot, right? He'll just create an invention that saves the day. I like that Wonder Woman, like, she talked about how this thing draws people in. So then what did she do? She made everybody deaf. Like, I don't know. I just felt like it was a very unique, great storytelling that made sense in the time without any contrivances. It makes Wonder Woman look like a badass. And I do still think there's something you can take away from this story, too. It's a fish out of water story, essentially. I love the Absolute Wonder Woman. Definitely belongs in the A tier. And you could even make an argument for it being in the absolutely ultimate tier. Next up for me, Absolute Batman. Wow. This book's fucking amazing. This is Batman as fuck. This was the third of the books I was talking about when I said the big 3, because obviously if you know anything about DC, DC's got their own big 3. This is the big 3 for DC. Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. All 3 of these books are peak. I love Batman. I love everything they're doing in this current story for Batman as well. We first start off the story and we think Batman's this wimp, scrawny kid, and then we see Batman's this super bulky, strong muscle man. And it doesn't let up from there. Like I said, it's Batman as fuck. The initial storyline, we see him, he's tackling the party animals, these guys. He's so like quick to act, he's fighting. It's the initial book, he's already fighting people. Like, that's what I liked about it. It really hits the ground running. We get a little bit of his backstory given to us throughout as well, so it's not, again, a linear plot. It's very, very interesting to follow. It's not just super straightforward and bland like a lot of stories will be from start to finish, here. There's a lot of jumping around, and I like that. It's not boring. I thoroughly enjoy how this Batman is shown to be so tactical. I do think that in the few Batman comics I've read from the actual mainline universe for DC, he doesn't necessarily feel as tactical, right? He just is. This story, he feels tactical. He has that axe on his chest. You think it's just a random block of square, and then he rips it off and it's an axe. It's like, oh, that's crazy. His pointy ears, you think they're just pointy ears? They're actually like jagged knives he can stab into stuff to break it. He can make every single piece of his suit into like part of his utility that he needs to operate with. And again, I think that just adds to how freaking good this Batman is at being tactical. We also never see this Batman kill a goddamn person. very in line with Batman while still being a different story, right? We see how brutal and gruesome he is, and he's still not a murderer. He's slicing people's hands off cleanly, but he's not a murderer. Personally, I find it much easier to read this Batman story than a lot of the mainline Batman comics because it just feels more straightforward to me. It feels like it's not as daunting with over thousands upon thousands of stories that I may have missed to catch up to this point. But it still feels like the Batman I think I know, right? I've seen a lot of Batman movies and cartoons. I grew up being obsessed with Batman as well, just like I was with Spider-Man. And I really think the reason I say with Spider-Man is just because of his color scheme, honestly. I think I just love Spider-Man's color scheme. But like I've always loved Batman as well. But I've never really gotten into his comics until this one. This is the comic that's really winning me over because it's just, to me, it feels more palpable. It feels more palatable. It feels like it's more so for anybody who picks it up, right? I think a lot of what makes Batman so tough to get into is he's just a rich, snobby person. I don't know about snobby, but he's a rich man, right? This is not the same Batman. This one is more of like a working class Batman. This Batman also is a bit relatable too in the sense that like it's not like some tragedy happened where both of his parents were taken away from him in like a fit of rage and then he was just left all alone with his money bags and Alfred. No, that's not what happened. Instead, his dad passed away, which is something that can literally happen to anybody where they're just living in a household with one parent. His mom has to do her absolute best to take care of him and raise him. So yeah, when you have all that put together, you have this Batman who just feels more relatable. He feels like an actual character you can see yourself being, and not you shouldn't always try and put yourself in these guys' shoes. Come on now. But like, I just think that's an aspect that's very underrated about this Batman compared to the regular Batman. Another thing about the Batman Absolute story that I like a lot is how it starts off. I know some people may hate it, but I liked it. It takes it really from another person's perspective. It's either from like an omniscient perspective of like an onlooker who's not involved, or it's from Alfred's perspective. And I really like that because it really makes Batman seem like this mythical god. We're reading this book and it's just like he's in awe of what Batman's able to do as he's doing it because we're seeing it from his perspective. It's not like we're only seeing it from like that omniscient point of view. Because we get a person's perspective on the ground, it gives it more of like a mythical feeling, in my opinion, at least. Thoroughly enjoyed Batman. I don't know if I would put it above Wonder Woman or Superman personally, but I can see both Wonder Woman and Batman being the absolutely ultimate tier, and those are probably the only remaining books I would put in there. So I'll probably honestly, I'll leave them in the A tier. They're good in the A tier where they are. Nah, they can go up here. Because I think the A tier, I think I have two books to put in the A tier. Starting with my next up would be Ultimate Wolverine. Okay, I don't know how a lot of people feel about Ultimate Wolverine because I feel like I don't see as much discussion about it as a lot of these other books. And maybe it's because a lot of the story is still ready to unfold. You know, we're still in the early stages of it versus the rest of the Ultimate Marvel Universe that's like at least like 10 issues in. I think every other story is at least even 13 issues in. Whereas Ultimate Wolverine, I think is at issue 2 or 3 right now. But I love Ultimate Wolverine. I think the artwork is better than any of the artwork in any of the other books besides Ultimate Spider-Man. I think these two have the best artwork, Ultimate Spider-Man and Ultimate Wolverine. I think Ultimate X-Men is definitely up there as well. And then Absolute Martian Manhunter makes the artwork very important and a part of the storyline. So those would probably be the 4 for best artwork. But if we're just talking like how the artwork looks, it's these two guys. It's Chiquetto and Cappuccio. These guys are otherworldly when it comes to doing art. The way Cappuccio does his freaking stylized shadings, dude, I can't get over it, dude. That cross-hatching, it's breathtakingly good. What I also thoroughly enjoy about this Wolverine book is it gives us the rest of the X-Men characters we may have felt like we were missing in the Ultimate X-Men book. I'm going to talk about Ultimate X-Men, but for a brief, quick, and most of the characters in this book aren't characters from the original X-Men storyline. The book takes place in Japan, and most of these characters are actually characters who may be East Asian descent, you know, where it would make more sense. In Ultimate Wolverine, this book has a lot of the other X-Men that are just like the ones you might more know about. Like, you may not know about Armor, who's in this book. You may not know about Miro and stuff like that, or Miru. I'm not sure how to pronounce that necessarily. But you definitely know about Nightcrawler. You know about Mystique. Like, you know about Kitty Pryde. They all show up in this book. And it honestly, it makes one person want to think about it more. Like, when I think about this book, it makes me want to think more about it because I'm sitting here thinking, like, if these guys were X-Men members, but this is the X-Men book, what were they calling themselves before? Who were they? What were they doing before? Like, I know they were a team. We know that they were a team for sure. But, like, why? And what were they doing? That's it for me. Like, I need to know more about that. But that's interesting to me. I think I find that very enjoyable because it just gives another layer of storytelling that can be broken open later on. I also think the villains in this book are phenomenal. Anyone who knows me knows Omega Red's one of my favorite villains in the Marvel Universe. But on top of Omega Red, Freaking Colossus? Are you serious? Freaking Magic? You serious? This is a good group right here. And you got the Maker. I love it. I love the storytelling behind it. What I think probably keeps it outside the absolute ultimate tier is, as of right now, it hasn't really shown off what these books have shown off. This book in issue 1 showed me it deserved to be here. For this one as well. And I think these 3, maybe by issue 4 or 5, I was thinking they had to be here. Probably by the end of her first act. And then for Ultimates, it was probably by the Hawkeye story, and Absolute Batman is probably by the end of the 3rd book. Ultimate Wolverine still has a lot of time to go. So, I'm not going to write it off. I still think already it's A tier. But I just think it has so much potential as well. And the fact that it's already drawn so well and the story already interests me so much, it's got the potential. This next book I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't going to buy it. I actually only bought it so I can make this video, and then it ended up liking it way more than all the other books on this list that I'm going to talk about after it. It's Absolute Flash. Can't believe I like this book. I did not want to get it. I didn't care. Was like, Flash, he just runs fast. That's his thing. Boring. Meh. Then I picked it up and started reading it, and I was like, whoa, it's kind of gas. Now, I only read the first issue. I think the second issue is out, but I've only read the first issue so far, and if the second issue isn't out, it's coming out soon. I loved it. I don't know much about Flash's mythos in his mainline universe. I know that there's multiple Flashes. There's like a Garrick. There's Wally West. There's Barry Allen. I don't know the order in which they come, I'm not going to lie. I know they have a thing called the Speed Force, and I know they have like a reverse Flash they fight. And Gorilla Grodd somewhere fits in there too. I saw him in an Injustice game. Big Injustice player over here. But this book was great. Like, Flash's relationship, like the little hint towards his mom and how sad that was. Flash's relationship with his dad and how, like, iffy it is and what's going on. What happened with... Barry? That's what confuses me, though. Barry and Wally, because I'm never really sure who's who. Think Barry dies. And you don't really understand how. Like, Wally walks in and you're like... And Barry's like, you gotta go. And then he's like... And then, like, the thing on the bottom is like, you killed him. And it's like, how did he kill him? That was crazy. I want to know more. Like, so for me, that's like where I was like reading this book, and that's how I felt about it. Was I was just like going into this with like the notion of this is going to be pretty mids, just about a boy who runs fast. And then it just was way more heartfelt with more heartstrings being tugged on than I had any imagined it would be. I also saw that there was some people that were chasing him down. I'm not going to lie, not too familiar with who these guys are. I feel like I was supposed to be, though. I don't really know much about Flash. One of these guys is probably a mirror dimension guy. I know Flashlight's a mirror dimension guy. Captain Boomerang was definitely one of these guys for sure. There's a Captain Cold, maybe. I think Flashlight's a Captain Cold in the comics. So I don't know. And then Gorilla Grodd is definitely none of these guys. I thought one of those gorillas and monkeys in the tanks was probably going to be Gorilla Grodd. We even saw the brain on top of one of them, like Mojo Jojo status. But either way, I have no idea who those people were. And if anybody who's going to comment on this video can tell me who they were, I would appreciate it. I've already tried asking the internet, and nobody who's a DC fan really felt like bothering to respond to me, I guess. Either way, I thoroughly enjoyed The Flash. I enjoyed it much more than I thought I would. I really thought I was just going to read it and then put it in the lowest tier I could find, but instead, it's actually above a few of the stories I actually even ended up liking. For next up, we got to go with... This is where it's tough. For me, out of these 3 books, okay. Ultimate Black Panther, I don't think does enough to justify itself, like being different from the original Black Panther until the vibranium stuff started coming into play, and I think that stuff's really, really freaking interesting personally. Like, I actually really enjoy that vibranium underlining storyline that's coming to like the forefront right now around issue 13, 14-ish. Ultimate X-Men, I think is it's tough. I think the storyline can be good. I think it could be great. I think the artwork is otherworldly. Like, the artwork is phenomenal. But with all that being said, it's hard to follow. A lot of the story is being told through the art. It's not like the art is an extension of the story to amplify it. The art is the story for a lot of it, and the words are more or less like your extension. And that's like the complete opposite flip of what comics are usually told, And that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's not something I'm used to, so I'm finding a hard time getting through it a lot of the time. I do think the story itself could be interesting, but I'm having a hard time just like getting through it personally, because as much as I love the artwork and I can marvel at it so much, it's just hard for me to be like, so wait, what just happened on that page? Like, I'm going back and rereading stuff a lot. So honestly, I think this could be one of the lower ones. And then this book, I talked about it a little in the beginning of this video, but I already know what I'm going to put the rankings, so I'll put them in order and I'll talk about them. But I'm going to go with Black Panther first for the reasons I said. I think the vibranium storyline is really going to to me at least, it really makes this whole lot more interesting. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably put it at the bottom unquestionably. It honestly probably wouldn't even be the bottom of it, it'd be in mid. It would straight up be in mid, because I think it doesn't justify itself actually existing. It completely just took the Moon Knight storyline and did whatever it wanted with it, and it didn't feel like it was anything like that was noteworthy, right? It didn't feel like it was anything that was supposed to be like a critique on contemporary issues. It didn't feel like an allegory to anything. It just felt like Black Panther versus these guys are now both Moon Knight, and you know, that felt a bit lame to me. I'm not gonna lie. That was easily the weakest part of the entirety of the Ultimate line, was that storyline. But this vibranium storyline, I think, pulls me back. I shouldn't say I think. It pulls me back into it. There's like a vibranium like monster. So apparently, if you're not aware of what the storyline is so far, the vibranium storyline, it's like where they don't actually understand what vibranium is. They're all using it in all of their like weaponry and their infrastructure and buildings and like their mining tools and everything, honestly. It's like traditional 616 Wakanda. But instead, this time around, vibranium's actually like kind of has, and I say kind of, I mean it does, it has like its own, what's the word I'm looking for? Conscious. It's alive almost. And it doesn't like being used. And that definitely justifies this being a completely different story than the original Black Panther. That's so wildly different. And I honestly, it wins me over. I love that. So I'm definitely going to put this here. I will say, like I said already, those biggest detractors I had for it were because of that one storyline. And it was a very long spanning storyline. There wasn't much action throughout. It was a lot of talking. I just found it boring to start. But I do think recently it's turned it around for me. I would put in second to last. This is, and that's not even ranking. It's just like where they're at. And let me explain it. This Green Lantern book, it could have sauce. It really does. It really could, I should say. But we just do not know. We don't. We do not know if this book's going to have sauce. We saw most of the story talking about Hal Jordan. And he's got like this black hand. Sounds like Daredevil stuff to me. But he was attacked by this cool-looking monster. He got this black hand, and now he's apparently killing people uncontrollably, and he can't stop himself. And then this lady right here, this Stunner, she got the Green Lantern ring. We don't really know much about her. I've never heard anything about her. I know John Stewart was with the two of them. I don't think this is John's girlfriend or wife. Maybe it's their friend or something. But either way, the three of them were hanging out one day, and then they get attacked by that alien dude. And now she's Green Lantern, and Hal Jordan is freaking Black Hand. That's all we know. I'm not saying it's bad. It just doesn't really grab me in. I'll probably read the next issue because I want to know what happens. But nothing about this so far has been like, this will be peak. But it's Al Ewing. So I'm not going to write it off yet and say it's terrible. It's only been one issue, and it's just started. So it's a potential issue. It'll be right here. And then I would put this here. Ultimate X-Men, I'd probably have at the bottom of B tier right now. Again, it's for the reasons I've listed earlier. I just can't seem to like find a good groove when it comes to reading these books. I find myself stuck reading these books for quite a bit, and it's just like I'm just sitting there, and there's less words in this book than there are in any of these other books uncomparably. But it's because I have to use the drawings for story. I'm like going back and forth trying to figure out exactly like how the drawings make it the story. It's not something I'm used to doing, and it's very difficult for me. I'm not trying to say it's bad. I think the storyline's pretty interesting. We have a whole new group of X-Men characters that are very unique and new. They're fresh. That's something a lot of people also always constantly complain about the X-Men. It's the boring usual people you always see. This is a new storyline, right? This is fresh characters. Armor's never in the forefront of stuff. Neither is Miru. This is like Psy, I think, instead of the usual Psylocke. Cyclops is a woman in this, and her name is not Scott Summers. It's just a different character completely with laser eyes. All that being said, if the story was easier to follow, it probably could shoot itself up here for me. But as of right now, I'm having such a hard time getting through it, and this is the list of like how much I enjoy all these books. I have to put it here. I enjoy it the least out of all these books so far, in my opinion. Not flaming it, not saying it's bad, never once said it was bad. I just have a hard time getting through it, and I find it harder to read, so it's harder for me to enjoy. That's just how I feel. And then the last, and most certainly not least, or maybe it could be least, it hasn't come out yet, is in the not even come out yet book, Ultimate Incursion. This is the book featuring Miles Morales, Spider-Man. He's going to be going over to the 6160 universe, and he's going to be interacting with each and every one of these stories, starting off with Spider-Man in June. Then I believe it's Ultimates in July, which is going to be cool because Black Panther's in this one too. Then I believe it's Black Panther after that, then X-Men. If he appears in Wolverine, that would just be nuts. I'm very excited for this book. I hope Miles stunts on the entire universe because he's got more experience than the entire universe does. Guarantee you no one in this universe has fought Galactus before, and Miles has fought Galactus before. He's also fought Null, and I guarantee you none of these characters have fought Null either. Even you look at the absolute universe if you want to. Nobody here fought Null before besides Miles. So that's my tier list. If you guys disagree, You can let me know down below. I'm sorry. This is just how I feel. I'm not going to fake how I feel about things so you could feel better about yourself, or I can get more clicks. Like, this is just how I feel. If I was going to go into this, try and get clicks, I'd probably put Batman in mid, and I'd put freaking Wonder Woman mid and Superman in mid, because then all the DC fans would click on this video. But this is actually how I truly feel. I truly feel like this is the order I'd put these books in. I thoroughly loved it. I thoroughly am enjoying every single one of these books as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't even count. What is this? 5 up here? 6. 6 books up here. 8. 11 books total. Gonna be 12. I'm sure I'm gonna love this one too. It's Miles Morales is my favorite character, not named Peter Parker Spider-Man. 12 different books, 11 as of right now. I loved all of them. I still love all of them, and I still buy books for each of them. I'm just maybe an issue behind on like 1 or 2 of them. I strongly suggest if you like comics, you get into both of these lines because they're both phenomenal. They both offer you so much as a fan. You get such good retellings of the stories that aren't exactly retellings because you have a phenomenal writer manning the helm behind each and every single one of these books. That's about it for me in this video, though. I would really appreciate it if you checked out the Patreon if you have the means to. I have a Discord if you want to talk to me. I'll put the Discord in the description down below so you can join the Discord there. And that's about it for me in this video. If you have anything you want to say to me, message me on Discord. But dunk out. Peace!